Like we talked about, I'm going to start trying to groom my golden doodle Hank at home to try to cut back on one of our line items in our budget and do this myself. So today's the first time that I've ever groomed Hank. He has had baths at home a lot, but I have never attempted to groom him. I haven't even trimmed the hair out of his eyes in between grooms or anything like that. I will start off saying that Hank is a very calm dog. He's pretty laid back. He'll let me do mostly whatever I want with him, and he is used to being brushed regularly, so I think those things did help us today get through this with as little hassle as possible. So before I give him a bath, I'm going to brush him really good, make sure he doesn't have any mats or anything. I'm using the slicker brush at first, and then I'm going through with this comb just to make sure there aren't any knots or mats down under where I can't see. And he was brushed just a couple days ago, so this is actually like super quick to get through. And he is ready for the bath. So I'm bathing him in my kids' bathroom in their tub. I gave him a bath with just some like combination shampoo and conditioner for dogs. And I just made sure to rinse him really, really good to get all the soap out. I've bathed him before and left some soap on accident around his legs, and his skin has gotten super irritated. So I just made sure to get him really good and rinsed, and then we went downstairs to dry. So like I said, we are using my personal blow dryer, and it took forever. So I'm hoping that I can look online and find like a reasonably priced dog blow dryer that's more of like a high velocity dryer, so we can cut back on the dry time, because aside from trimming his face, what took the longest was blowing him dry. And I assume that your shears are not going to work very good if you're trying to cut through wet hair. So I just made sure to get him really dry. And then we moved outside to start his haircut. Like I said, Hank is pretty chill and compliant. So I actually just had him stand on top of this storage box. He didn't really need like a leash or anything to hold him in place. He will pretty much just stand there, and he stood there the entire time. At the end, when I was trimming his face, he was kind of annoyed and over it, but I was afraid we were going to have to do this in 2 sessions, but he did so great that we just powered through and got it done. You'll see at the end our results, but what I'm using right now is a 5/8 inch guard. These are metal guards that came with these clippers. All it had was a 5/8 and a 1 inch guard, and I wasn't really sure what to use. A couple things I had watched had said to use a 1/2 inch guard, so this was as close as I had to that. It really didn't cut off a ton of hair, but it's been about a month, a little more than a month since he was groomed. So, and I did that on purpose. I didn't want him to have super long hair the first time I tried to do this. So the 5/8 guard really did a good job. I used it for his body and his legs. From what I've read, you're supposed to go with the grain of hair. And that's what I did, kind of along the muscle lines on his back and stuff. And it seemed to work really well. I just went over it several times to make sure I didn't leave anything behind. I think historically at the groomer, I have had his legs left longer than his body, but for the first time doing this at home, I figured we should just make this easy. So while I'm continuing to cut Hank, I just wanted to bring back up the reason that I am grooming my dog despite having no idea how to groom a dog. And the reason for that is my family is in a season of trying to slow down and spend more intentional time together. And in doing that, I'm cutting back on my hours at work. And in order to make that possible, we need to tighten our budget a little bit. And so we went through things, we cut back where we can. And at first, I listed dog grooming as a fixed expense. Something that, like, we have a dog that needs to be groomed, so obviously we have to take our dog to the groomer. And the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what, like, let's just see if I can groom him myself. He's a dog, and it may not be perfect, but his hair will grow back and I can get better, and maybe we can just make this work. And, you know, getting your dog groomed is not cheap. And that's okay, because the people grooming your dog are taking a lot of time to do so and deserve to be paid well for their time. But for us, like I said, we're trying to cut back on our expenses. And so this seemed like one way that we could try to do that. And so I spent less money than a groom on the equipment that I bought to do this. I'm sure that if I keep grooming him at home, there may be other things that I need or higher quality things, but this will do the trick for now. I would be curious to hear if you and or your family are also in a season of trying to cut back on your expenses for whatever reason. I know the world's just super expensive right now, and it seems like that's not going to change anytime soon. So I think that more and more people are really putting a close eye on their budget and trying to see what they can do to make things easier, because it's hard out there and there's only so much we can do. So I would be interested to hear if there's something that your family is also doing to try to cut back on spending. I feel like these days most of us are trying to optimize the dollars that we make and cut back on our budget where we can. So let me know what your family's doing. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below about what you're doing to try to make life a little easier for you right now. This is the part that I definitely am going to need to practice on, or maybe like seek some advice from somebody to help me decide like what I'm doing not right. It doesn't look terrible, but I was scissoring around his face. He was super over it at that point, so he was kind of tired of standing still, but we did the best we could. I used the curved scissors mostly around his face, and then I went back in with the thinning shears, and I think that kind of made a big difference at the end. Like some places just looked poofy, but what I realized that I was doing with his face was I just kept cutting. Like if it didn't look perfect, I just kept going back and cutting over and over. And I think at some point you really just have to stop cutting the hair. So after doing this the first time, I definitely feel like it was worth my time and the small amount of money that I invested in the equipment. I'm happy I tried it, and I think I'm gonna keep doing it for now. I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. I am not a professional dog groomer. I have had zero training. I have literally no idea what I'm doing aside from just watching a few YouTube videos. So please don't critique me too hard. I know it doesn't look perfect, but we're just doing the best we can around here. Hank doesn't seem to mind. And I think all in all, this was totally a success. I'm really glad that I tried it. I really think I will continue to groom him in the future. And hopefully next time it will look even better. Have a great day.